So let's talk about the very first mistake that many people make when they are involved in strategic planning. And that is they don't get clear about the big picture. They assume that everyone is clear about the vision and the mission. I want you to imagine with me that right now here I am, and that is, the reality of where your organisation is. And the mountain that I'm standing on is like your mission. It's why you exist. And the vision is the top. That's what you're aiming at. So when we're talking about mission, how do you get clear about it? It is the answer to this. Why do you exist? See, if you don't get clear about why you exist and everyone agrees on that, and you might think, oh, we've got a statement, we don't need to talk about it again, but you need to go back and just make sure. If you don't, then what you can subtly do is what we call mission creep, where you just bring in all different things that don't actually relate to exactly why you exist. So how do we develop one? So a great mission statement is short, it's succinct, and it's inspiring. It enables people to know on a t-shirt, so to speak, what you're on about. Let me give you an example. To make the world's information universally accessible and useful. Whose is that? It's actually Google's mission statement. Notice how it's not fluffy, and it focuses on who they want to serve, their market, and what they want to be remembered for. One of the things you've got to do, obviously, is get the right people in the room. You might get your current statement, you might get some examples of some other statements, great statements. Don't worry so much about wordsmithing. What you're going to look at later on, you might get a copywriter or someone who's really good at those sort of things. What you want to get is the brainstorm of the big ideas. What's the mountain? What do you want to be remembered for and by? So as we're talking about all of this, you've got to understand and remember, everything's got to be clear. It's got to be compelling and it's got to be inspiring. Does it fit on a t-shirt so that everyone, anytime you can ask them, what are we on about? And they'll know like that. As you're talking about vision, we start to look at the top of the mountain once you've got your mission really clear. So once we've defined what the mountain is, we start to now get a really clear picture of what the future looks like, what our vision is. In order to get clear on that, we're asking ourselves, what is the picture of the preferable future that we desire? The clearer you can get about this, you'll just save yourself so many headaches. And again, so many organisations, they assume that everyone knows, or they know, but if you were to ask yourself right now, if you had to tell me, what's the vision 5 years from now? Could you tell me in a sentence, in a paragraph? Because if you're not clear about it, then no one else will be clear about it. If your executive or leadership team isn't clear about it together, no one's going to be clear about it. So when we're talking about vision, we're talking about a couple of things. One, it's obviously got to be descriptive of the future. Two, it's got to be short and concise. You could have a sentence, but then a descriptor underneath of dot points. But it's also what I call future casting. And what that means is that you're making this statement that says, in the future, this is what it will look like. So it is the year 2016 and we have, or we are. And the unconscious mind moves towards whatever you state as a present reality. So as we're thinking about the future, as we're thinking about our mountain and we're thinking about the top, sometimes people start to get scared. Sometimes they make the vision, they get the mission really clear, and then they realise that it means that they've got to start to say no to certain other things. So they get clear, but they don't commit. And when you don't commit, it means you continue to do what you've been doing, and that's no good. That doesn't help a strategic plan. So one of the things you've got to realise again is a strategic plan will help you to say no to some things that maybe you're already doing or to some opportunities in the future. Because it's this mountain. It's not the other mountain over there, it's that hill. It's that vision, it's that summit that we're going for, not some other summit. So my encouragement to you is that you've got to stay focused on this, whatever this is. Isn't that a magnificent view? The wind beating against us, high up in the sky. You've got to have it that clear. This is your vision. Whatever it is, it's got to be so clear. It's as if you're standing on top of the mountain. There's three types of vision. The first is, we want to be the best, in the first, in the biggest, in a certain area, a certain industry. The second is that we want a certain type of profit or revenue, whatever that might be, but we want to hit certain revenue targets. And the third is that we want to do certain things. We want to make certain differences in the world. They're the three. So let me encourage you, as we stand here in this fantastic environment, don't rush this. Having clarity around your vision and your mission, your mountain and your peak is really, really important. You might assume that everyone knows it. Many leaders do. They think they've talked about it enough. But don't rush over it. You can't just do this in 2 hours. You've got to come back and you've got to ask again and again, is this our mission? And is this our vision? We're going to be learning in the next little bit about what it is, what sort of strategic plans there are. There's 4 different sorts. And how to run a retreat where you get the best and the most out of it. Enjoy.